of The Last of Us video game once said, "The worst thing about this game is that I'll never get to play it for the first time ever again." Praised as everything an adaptation should be, The Last of Us adaptation has made a buzz in the streaming and TV industry ever since Episode 1. So why has it been so good? Is it all just Pedro Pascal's performance and actor appeal, or is it something more? It goes without saying that the currently ongoing series is based on the iconic game that represented many present-day adult gamers' childhoods and teenage years. HBO Max's show stars Bella Ramsey as Ellie and Pedro Pascal as Joel. Joel and Ellie are considered multi-layered, complex characters, and their interesting relationship captured people's hearts. The cast includes Gabriel Luna portraying Joel's sibling Tommy, Anna Torv as Tess, Merle Dandridge returning to her role as Marlene from the original game, Scott Shepherd as David, Nick Offerman playing Bill, and Murray Bartlett portraying Frank. Additionally, Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson, who played Joel and Ellie in the original game, appear as David's subordinate James and Ellie's mother Anna, respectively. So what is it that makes it good? In The Last of Us, people are doing what they can to survive. At times, it's not the fungus-infected zombies that seem like the worst threat, but the world itself, with men inflicting conscious cruelties much worse than any attack of a mindless zombie. One of its primary selling points is, as one player calls it, how there's no save-the-world nonsense in the middle of the zombie apocalypse. The series recognizes the damaging effects of the virus in the nation and the world, and how its dire circumstances could bring out the monster in any of us. It criticizes society wholeheartedly. The gameplay combines survival horror elements and action-adventure gameplay with tense combat encounters and exploration. The game's mechanics are well designed and challenging, and players must use stealth and strategy to survive in the dangerous world. And finally, the visuals. The Last of Us had beautiful and detailed graphics, with realistic movements and character models for its time. There are even memes joking about how the game, already 10 years old, looks better than many present-day games. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. God, I'm sorry. The soundtrack is haunting, and the sound effects of even the smallest background event were immersive. Basically, the game scored highly wherever it could and rode the wave of zombie apocalypse stories that trended during those years, ensuring it would also get mainstream attention and some degree of vitality. Anyway, the reason why it's being called everything a game adaptation should be is more complex. In recent years, video game adaptations for TV and film have earned a bad rap. You might spend 30 hours with a character in-game only for the adaptation to change their personality for weird plots the screenrunners seem to bake halfway while in pre-production. Some examples include the Resident Evil adaptation, known as one of the worst adaptations in the history of adaptations, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Monster Hunter, the list goes on. But the list of genuinely good adaptations is almost insignificant. But at least they did improve with every passing year. One could tell that Detective Pikachu was written by people who actually loved the franchise. Cyberpunk 2077 was better than its original game, but these two lack something that makes The Last of Us stand out: novelty. HBO's The Last of Us ends all these mishaps because it preserves the original idea, characters, and storyline and tells us something new about them. The series was adapted by the game's creator Neil Druckmann and Chernobyl's showrunner Craig Main. This combination suggested that it might buckle up the trend of video games being reworked into other formats. While The Last of Us might become a blueprint for creating a successful video game adaptation, we also have to consider that the game itself had to be emotionally harrowing, profound, emotional, and obviously fun for it to be praised in the first place. Joel is a Texan construction worker in his 50s. He performs grim maintenance jobs and has a sideline in his hidden market. Life is bleak, ruthless, and never forgiving in this post-apocalyptic world. He's tasked with transporting Ellie across the ravaged US, as she might be the survivor the world needs. However, those who haven't played the game will still be welcomed by it. The series lays out the fungus scenario as a hypothetical possibility discussed on the talk show back in the 1960s. Back in the 1960s, before it moves to 2003, when the worst-case scenario actually took place and is destroying society. Let's also be fair. The Last of Us is a better candidate than most games for a TV adaptation. It features a linear storyline instead of an open world. Joel is a hardened old survivor and Ellie is a bright, cheerful teenager. Both connect to defy the dire circumstances of the world around them. A post-apocalyptic world where a deadly fungus has spread across the United States, wiping out most of humanity and turning survivors into vicious zombie-like creatures known as infected. The game is set 20 years after the initial outbreak. It follows Joel, a smuggler, and Ellie, a teenage girl, as they travel across the country to deliver Ellie to a group of resistance fighters known as the Fireflies. This isn't just a game about surviving in a post-apocalyptic world. It's a story about two people who have been hurt by life and find a connection with each other. Their relationship is the heart of the game, and it's what makes the journey so compelling. The original video game has a strong and emotionally resonant story, following main characters Joel and Ellie as they navigate a post-apocalyptic world. Their characters were well developed. To many gamers, they felt like real people. This was thanks to superb voice acting and motion capture performances. As explained by actress Shannon Woodward in the official Last of Us podcast, whenever a character makes a decision in the story, you feel like you're personally making these. You're taking Ellie across the country, and we all took Ellie across country, because we all love her. The game is a personal journey for fans. It doesn't matter that it sold so many copies. For every person, it meant something different, and we experienced things both the main characters experienced. The most prominent theme is survival, of course. The game and the series are both set in a post-apocalyptic world. What lengths are people willing to go to for survival in a world where resources are scarce and danger lurks around every corner? It shows how people must adapt to their environment and the challenges it presents to stay alive. This is what sets the story's tension, but the attachment is determined by other themes: loss and grief, morality, and the human condition. The series deals with the emotional toll of loss and grief as the characters are forced to cope with the loss of loved ones and the world as they knew it. It portrays the different ways people process their grief and find meaning in a world that is being destroyed. There is also ethical questions raised and explored in a world where the rules of society no longer apply. It highlights how people's values and beliefs can be tested in extreme circumstances. Season 1 of The Last of Us is running for 9 episodes, with episode 1 debuting on January 15 and the final one airing on March 13. Since the series is not a video game though, it also expands upon the smaller storylines the original did not have time to follow through nor scale to those heights. They've broadened its reach and increased our understanding of the world building. We learn more about Ellie's backstory, and we experience attempts of society trying to create utopias in a dystopian environment. At the end of the day, The Last of Us tries to give us hope for humanity, balancing the horror and the heart. Will this usher in an era of half-decent or even masterful video game-to-screen adaptations? Possibly. We at BingeTv certainly hope so. If you enjoyed today's video, feel free to leave us a like, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more videos like today. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time for more.